Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for. Can you turn it on? Is it working? Okay, I think I'm on now, on air. Good morning, and thanks for joining today ACEF's regional operations session, Powering Central West Asia and Beyond, Green Corridors for a Connected Future. I'm Nana Gurganidze. I'm Senior Energy Specialist at ADB, and today I'm happy to serve as a moderator for the first part of our session. For over the next 90 minutes, we are going to explore opportunities of clean energy trade and interconnection in Central West Asia, providing new opportunities for a greener future. To set the tone, I would like to invite two distinguished leaders for the welcoming remarks. First, please welcome Mr. Evgeny Zhukov, Director General of Central and West Asia Department of Asian Development Bank.
Thank you, Nala. Good morning, and welcome to this session of the Asia Clean Energy Forum, titled "Powering Central and West Asia Region and Beyond: Green Corridors for a Connected Future." It's a great honor to open today's session together with His Excellency, Mr. Ibrahim Talbek Amukevich, Minister of Energy of the Kyrgyz Republic, and to see so many partners and energy leaders from across the region and beyond. Your presence here reflects collective urgency and opportunity. We all recognize the importance of building a clean, resilient, and interconnected energy future for Central and West Asia. As we gather today, the global energy landscape is undergoing rapid shifts. The race towards decarbonization is accelerating. Electricity demand is rising. And across Central and West Asia, governments are stepping up with bold visions, investing in solar, wind, hydropower, and storage technologies to power the economies and expand regional connectivity. This session is not just about technologies or megawatts. It is about something bigger: regional cooperation, shared prosperity, and energy security. Whether it is Central Asia power system, the ambitious Black Sea and Caspian Sea subsea cable initiatives, or the growing access to the European electricity markets, we are seeing the first building blocks of tomorrow's green corridors. Corridors that can link countries, balance systems, and deliver sustainable power across borders. But this vision alone is not enough. That is why today's session is so critical. We need to address the enablers for this transformation: sound regulatory frameworks, open and efficient markets, sustainable financing, and strong regional institutions. These will be foundations upon which successful cross-border energy trade and infrastructure will stand. ADB is fully committed to supporting this agenda. Through policy dialogue, investment, and technical assistance, we are working hand in hand with the countries and partners to accelerate clean energy transitions, integrate power systems, and strengthen institutional capacities across the region. A significant step forward was taken just recently. On 5 April of this year, ADB and Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank signed a memorandum of understanding to support the feasibility study of the Caspian Green Energy Corridor, a landmark initiative that could connect vast clean energy resources in Central Asia to markets across South Caucasus and eventually Europe. It is a symbol of what regional cooperation can achieve when anchored on a common purpose and supported by strong partnerships. So I'm especially pleased that we will hear not only from high-level regional and international experts, but also directly from the national champions who are leading this way. Each country in our region makes a unique contribution. The Kyrgyz Republic, as one of the region's largest producers of clean hydropower, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, with their rapid expanding solar and wind portfolios, and Georgia, with its strategic location and growing regional links. Together, these countries are laying the groundwork for resilient and green regional energy system. Let me close by expressing my appreciation to our co-organizers, speakers, and moderators, and to all of you participating today. I encourage you all to be open, bold, and practical in sharing your ideas and experiences. The journey towards a greener, interconnected future will not be easy, but with the collective insight and commitment to this in this room, I'm confident that we can shape a strong path forward together. So thank you, and I wish us all a productive and inspiring session.
Thank you, DG Jurkov. Now it's my pleasure to invite His Excellency Minister of Energy, Kyrgyz Republic, Mr. Talabek Ibraev. Please.
Уважаемые дамы и господа, уважаемые участники форума, уважаемые коллеги и партнеры. Прежде всего, позвольте выразить искреннюю благодарность организаторам Азиатского форума по чистой энергии за приглашение и возможность предоставить Кыргызской Республике на столь важной платформе. Выражаю глубокую признательность за приглашение принять участие в Азиатском форуме по чистой энергии. Для нас большая честь быть частью этой важной площадки, которая объединяет страны, организации экспертов, стремящихся к устойчивому экологическому, чистому энергетическому будущему.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear forum participants, colleagues and partners, first of all, let me express my sincere gratitude to the organizers of the Asian Clean Energy Forum for the invitation and the opportunity to represent the Kyrgyz Republic on such an important platform. I express my deep gratitude for the invitation to participate in this forum, and we are honored to be a part of this important platform that brings together countries, organizations, and experts striving for a sustainable clean energy future.
Развитие чистой энергии в полной мере соответствует стратегическим приоритетам Кыргызской Республики по развитию возобновляемой энергии. Кыргызская Республика обладает значительным гидроэнергетическим потенциалом, который оценивается при возможности выработки до 142 миллиарда киловатт-часов электроэнергии в год. При этом освоение составляет всего лишь 13%. Гидроэнергия является возобновляемым и практически неисчерпаемым ресурсом. Она оказывает минимальное влияние на окружающую среду и поэтому является одним из самых экологически чистых источников энергии. И, наконец, это один из самых дешевых видов электроэнергии.
The development of clean energy is fully consistent with the strategic priorities of the Kyrgyz Republic for the development of the renewable energy. The Kyrgyz Republic has significant hydropower potential, which is estimated to be capable of generating up to 142 billion kilowatt hours of electric power per year. And however, the development of the potential is only about 13%.
Президент Кыргызской Республики, уважаемый Садыр Нургоджоевич Джапаров, в Глазго в 2021 году заявил, что переход к устойчивой экономике и развитию возобновляемых источников энергии – это наш безальтернативный путь и условия глобальных климатических изменений. Данная стратегическая задача отражает политическую волю и практические шаги в направлении экологически чистого и устойчивого будущего. Решительные меры по передаче объектов энергокомпании, ТЭЦ и котельных на баланс мере городов и местных самоуправлений являются свидетельством нашей крайней заинтересованности движения на пути к безуглеродной энергетике.
So hydropower is a renewable and virtually inexhaustible resource. It has a minimum impact on the environment and therefore one of the most environmentally friendly sources of energy. And finally, it is one of the cheapest types of energy. That's why the president of the Kyrgyz Republic, the respected Sadir Nurguljoevich Japarov, stated in Glasgow in 2021 that the transition to a sustainable economy and the development of the renewable energy sources is the only path in the context of global climate change. This strategic objective reflects the political will and practical steps towards an environmentally friendly and sustainable future. The decisive measures on transferring the energy company facilities, thermal power plants and boiler houses to the balance of the city mayor's offices and the local governments are the evidence of our extreme interest in moving towards the carbon-free energy.
Хотелось бы выделить 4 приоритетных направления. Первое – строительство новых ГЭС. Ключевым проектом развития гидроэнергетики является строительство Хамбаратинской ГЭС-1 мощностью 1860 мегаватт. Это флагманский мегапроект, способен существенно изменить энергетический ландшафт всего региона. Данный стратегический проект находится в числе приоритетов государственной политики и входит в перечень национальных проектов. Реализация проекта строительства Хамбарата ГЭС-1 обеспечит Кыргызской Республике надежным энергоснабжением и в будущем будет способствовать стабильности энергосистем в странах Центральной Азии.
I would like to highlight 4 priority areas. So the first one is the construction of the new HPPs, and the key project in the development of the hydropower is the construction of Kambarata HPP1 with a capacity of 1,860 megawatts. This flagman mega project is capable of significantly changing the energy landscape of the entire Central Asian region. So this strategic project is among the priorities of the state policy and is included in the list of the national project. The implementation of Kambarata HPP1 construction project will provide the Kyrgyz Republic with reliable energy supply in the future and will contribute to the stability of energy systems of the countries of Central Asia.
Заинтересован в сотрудничестве по строительству Хамбарата ГЭС-1 выразили соседние государства Казахстан и Узбекистан. Проект поддерживается финансированием Всемирного банка в размере $1,5 миллиарда США. В настоящее время на стадии завершения актуализации техники экономического обоснования и подготовка АВОС проекта. Так как общая сумма проекта составляет порядка $3 миллиарда 800 миллионов США, мы хотели бы предложить международным финансовым институтам, в том числе Азиатскому банку развития, участвовать в финансировании оставшейся суммы.
The neighboring Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan have expressed their interest in cooperation in the construction of Kambarata HPP1. The project is supported by the World Bank's financing in the amount of $1.5 billion, and currently the actualization of the feasibility study and the preparation of the environmental impact assessment for the project are at the final stage. And since the total cost of the project is approximately $3.8 billion, we would like to invite international financial institutions, including the Asian Development Bank, to participate in financing the remaining amount.
Второе. Модернизация действующих станций. Многие наши гидроэлектростанции построены еще в советское время и сегодня нуждаются в технологическом обновлении. Это дает возможность повысить эффективность и надежность, а также адаптировать станции изменяющимся гидрологическим условиям. В настоящее время совместно с Азиатским банком развития реализуются такие проекты, как реабилитация Токтогульской ГЭС мощностью 1200 мегаватт, после модернизации 1440 мегаватт, модернизация Учкурганской ГЭС 180 мегаватт, после модернизации 216 мегаватт. Кроме этого, у нас есть другие проекты, которые мы осуществляем собственными силами.
The second one is modernization of the existing power plants. Many of our HPPs were built in the Soviet times and today need technological upgrading. This provides the opportunities to increase the efficiency and reliability, as well as adapt the power plants to changing hydrological conditions. Currently, together with the Asian Development Bank, such projects as Toktogul HPP rehabilitation, so it was 1,200 megawatts, and after modernization, the indicator is 1,440 megawatts, and Uchkurgan HPP modernization, 180 megawatts before modernization, and after modernization, 216 megawatts. So these projects are being implemented with the help of the Asian Development Bank. In addition to that, we have other projects that we are implementing with our own resources.
И третье, привлечение зеленых инвестиций. Кыргызстан открыт для партнерства. Мы предоставляем прозрачные условия для иностранных инвесторов и стремимся интегрироваться в глобальные цепочки климатического финансирования.
The third one is the attraction of green investments. Kyrgyzstan is open for partnership. We provide transparent conditions for foreign investors and strive to integrate into the global climate financial chains.
Четвертое. Укрепление регионального сотрудничества. Развитие и модернизация сетевой инфраструктуры сектора энергетики Кыргызстана остаются приоритетными задачами. Ярким примером эффективного регионального взаимодействия является проект КАС-1000, который наглядно демонстрирует, как чистая гидроэнергия может стать основным для устойчивого обмена электроэнергией между странами Центральной и Южной Азии. В Данный инфраструктурный проект, международный проект реализуем при участии Кыргызстана, Таджикистана, Афганистана и Пакистана, находится на завершающем этапе. В ближайшее время будет введен в эксплуатацию, обеспечивая передачу электроэнергии в рамках всего региона.
And the fourth is strengthening of the regional cooperation. The development and modernization of the grid infrastructure of the energy sector of Kyrgyzstan remains the priority task. A striking example of effective regional cooperation is CASA 1000 project, which clearly demonstrates how clean hydropower can become the basis for a sustainable exchange of electric power between the countries of Central and South Asia. This international infrastructural project, implemented with the participation of Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, is in its final stage and will be put into operation in the nearest future, ensuring the transmission of electric power throughout the region.
Уважаемые участники форума, Кыргызская республика находится у истоков крупных рек, что позволяет нам обладать большим гидропотенциалом для проектов зеленой энергетики. В целях развития чистой энергии и дифференцификации источников генерации Кыргызская республика развивает солнечную, ветряную энергетику. В ряде регионов уже реализуются пилотные проекты в сотрудничестве с международными финансовыми институтами. Амбициозные планы страны позволяют обеспечить стабильность энергоснабжения в условиях климатической изменчивости и сезонных колебаний выработки.
Dear forum participants, the Kyrgyz Republic is located at the beginning of large rivers, which allows us to have great hydro potential for green energy projects. In order to develop clean energy and diversify the generation sources, the Kyrgyz Republic is developing solar and wind energy too. In a number of regions, pilot projects are already being implemented in cooperation with international financial institutions. So the country's ambitious plans will ensure stable energy supply in the conditions of climate variability and seasonal fluctuations in generation.
Уважаемые участники, для Кыргызстана развитие чистой энергетики – это энергетическая стратегия и вклад в глобальное климатическое равновесие, устойчивость региона в достойное будущее для следующих поколений. Мы верим в силу партнерства, технологического прогресса и ответственного подхода к природе. Приглашаем международных партнеров, доноров, финансовые институты к сотрудничеству в совместной реализации проектов в области энергетики нашей страны. Благодарю за внимание.
Dear participants, for Kyrgyzstan, the development of clean energy is an energy strategy and a contribution to the global climate balance, the sustainability of the region, and decent future for the next generations. We believe in the power of partnership, technological progress, and responsible approach to nature, and we invite international partners, donors, financial institutions to cooperate in the joint implementation of projects in the field of energy in our country. Thank you all for attention.
Спасибо.
Thank you, dear DG Zhukov and dear Minister Ibrahim. Thank you for very welcoming words and setting the tone and the goal for the session. Now let me welcome an extraordinary group of leaders from government, financial institutions, and regulators to explore the unique topic of a unique opportunity before us, building interconnected, clean future, clean system in Central West Asia and beyond. Please welcome Mr. Orhan Zeynalov, Deputy Minister of Energy of Azerbaijan. Mr. Zuyat Gachachiladze, Director from Georgian Electric System and the representative of the Black Sea Project. Mr. Jandos Nurmaganbetov, Director General, Kazakhstan Association. Mr. Nazim Hiari, Policy Advisor, Council of European Energy Regulators. Mr. Zhongho Huang, Director Energy of ADB. Mr. Hong Wei, the Head of Client Relations, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. And Mr. Florian Kitz, Senior Energy Specialist, World Bank. Thank you very much for joining us today here and for the opportunity to engage in a timely and important discussion. Today we'll go beyond usual statements, no slide decks, no talking points, just a frank discussion on this very important topic around which we hear a lot of opinions and a lot of myths as well. So first of all, today we have a very unique opportunity to hear from you from the very different perspectives, from technical, financial, and political as well. And this is a rare opportunity when we have everyone at one table at the same time. So let's use that. And let's start with clarifying maybe some myths and realities. So myth or reality question: subsea cables are mostly about international considerations, not electricity. Mr. Zainalov, would you agree with that?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the ADB for inviting our delegation to this important meeting. It's a pleasure to be here and also to be joined by our partners from the region, also the other financial institutions. Of course, the subsea cables is just part of the component of those larger interconnectors. And in that case, I would like to highlight three important aspects of those projects, the interconnection projects. The three aspects: first of all, the overall overview and impact of those larger interconnector projects to the energy architecture in the region. Secondly, what is required from the countries, from the partners to make those projects successful. And thirdly, what is really going on right now on the ground. So first of all, what is the impact of those projects? From our point of view, normally the projects, the places of the sources of electricity are situated far from the places of demand. So you need reliable and long cables, interconnectors to deliver those much needed energy to the places where there is a high demand. And for that cause, of course, the HVDC is the most reliable route and the tool because there is a minimum losses along the way. It ensures the long-term and long-range interconnection. It also stabilizes the prices in the different regions where there is a shortage of electricity. For example, what we're right now observing in the southeastern, Eastern Europe, the prices are a bit higher. So the extra volumes coming from the Central Asia, Azerbaijan, Caspian Sea, the Black Sea region to those regions can really have an impact on those electricity prices. And generally, the regional cooperation, of course, is another positive impact where the countries can utilize their cross-border incentives, approaches in terms of the tariffs, in terms of the harmonization of those voltages, etc. Sometimes we just recently, the BCG completed the Azerbaijan-Turkey interconnector project feasibility. And in that case, when we're considering that the interconnection export to Turkey, you are also thinking that it needs somehow align also that the voltage issues will also need to align to the transit places, to the country destination of export. So what is required? Of course, second segment, first of all, you need the political will, political support, the backup. The IGAs are naturally the first step, the intergovernmental agreement, other kind of support. When there is an IGA, there is a much certainty for the financial institutions, predictability for the investors, and in general provide a more reliable framework for the project to move on. I can mention two projects in our region, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Central Asia, Azerbaijan project, where we signed during the COP29 the IGA. Back in 2022, with Georgia, Romania, Hungary, Azerbaijan signed again at the heads of state level the intergovernmental agreement. It generally provides the very good initial setup, the inception phase. Secondly, common methodologies for the feasibility studies. It's very important. We're not reinventing something new. The methods for the TORs, for the feasibilities are same everywhere. Regardless the region, you need transparent and reliable data. You need to back up those data with the technical requirements, and also you need within the feasibility a very good commercial model to make those projects bankable. And bankable projects are not granted. The bankable project is a hard result of the hard work of optimization, of aligning those investor and private sector interests with the interests of the countries, the national countries, the interests of the other stakeholders. And in terms of that interests of the national stakeholders, the project companies, the JVs, are really playing a crucial role. In our region, in Azerbaijan, established with the partners for the Caspian Sea, Black Sea, Europe corridor, the Green Energy Corridor, we've established JV in Bucharest, and JV is a regional node, sort of representing the 4 countries in the region in terms of the investment promotion, in terms of the interacting with the other stakeholders. And the same JV will be established for the Central Asia-Azerbaijan Corridor, Green Energy Alliance. Very soon in Baku, we're establishing this project. So I think that the bankability of the projects coupled with the technical requirement is very important. In terms of the cables, answering to your question, we're coming to the crucial issue of the supply chains. Currently, there are very few reliable suppliers of those undersea cables in the world. So the project countries, project participants, project companies need to secure those cables well in advance, because sometimes supply chain could delay the project, and it can really impact this. And of course, the cables, not just the electricity cable, but we're also talking about the fiber optic cables, which is really goes in parallel with the electricity cable. So in our case, again, for the different interconnector projects, we see the common approaches in terms of the methodology for feasibility, common approach in terms of the making the projects bankable, in terms of the lowering the cost of capital, optimizing the costs, tariff methodology, because we're talking about the cross-border projects. Sometimes tariffs are really important in terms of the final IRR of the project, and to reach the double digits in the IRR. But general, of course, that requires the very good level of understanding from all project countries that you need the common approaches in terms to make those projects feasible and viable. Last but not least, during COP29, we've initiated the global initiative, Azerbaijan presidency, on green energy corridors and green energy zones. And this initiative already been supported by more than 65 countries and many international organizations, and we appreciate those support. And I think this declaration is really setting the scene for the regional and global efforts in terms of this corridor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You mentioned a few very important points indeed, but I want to pick up on the point on partners' commitments. And I want to ask following question: what is Azerbaijan's top priority in advancing regional cooperation and interconnections, and what is the long-term vision?
Azerbaijan's long-term Azerbaijan priority is to develop all kinds of energy, all sources of energy, including the oil and gas, natural gas, continuing the investing in those projects, but also transforming into the green energy transition. And we're investing a lot into the green energy projects. By 2027, within the first phase of green energy transition, we're planning to complete 10 projects. With the total cost of investment, $2.7 billion FDI will be directed to the country, and 2 gigawatt will be integrated into the grid. We have completed the grid study, and in order to ensure the stability and balance of the grid, we are also planning to integrate 250 megawatt of battery storage. Because the grids are the bottleneck of the energy systems. Right now, we see that without the grid stability, you cannot develop and deploy the more renewables. Within the next phase, 27-2030, we're planning additional 4 gigawatts. So by 2030, we will have 6.5 gigawatt of new green energy, the 4 gigawatt of which will be directed to the export. After 2030, within the third phase, it's a medium long-term forecast. We're planning additional 10 gigawatt of the energy, including starting from 2035, we will also deploy the hydrogen production as well, and the national hydrogen strategy is on the way. We have 5 potential offshore wind farms in Caspian Sea, very promising fields, and we've already agreed with the investors to start working on those fields. We have a strategic cooperation with the companies from Middle East, from China. Just 2 days ago, during Baku Energy Week, we have signed a strategic memorandum, strategic document on comprehensive cooperation with China Energy, including on the offshore wind, onshore wind, solar, battery storage, all kinds of cooperation. And I think that we have the same commitment from the other companies from China, the companies from the Middle East. There is an interest from the European countries. We have the very good support from the financial institutions, the World Bank, ADB, AIB, they are our good partners, the EBRD, EIB, of course. Without the support of the financial institutions, when you have like certain part of the project capex within the loan debt, then you naturally need to secure those financing well in advance. And I think that within this long-term vision, we will continue investing a lot within the green energy, and they are also commercially viable. We see already the good figures. They are environmentally sound. Those new projects will save us millions and millions of tons of greenhouse gas emissions. In Azerbaijan, this green transition will also save the natural gas. Because right now we're using the gas for the heating for the power stations, and by 2030, new green volumes, they will save us 1.2 BCM of gas, release the gas, which natural gas, which otherwise can be also exported to the region and to the European countries. But now I would like to mention a very important point that our long-term vision also covers the relations with the strategic region of the Central Asia. Central Asia is our natural partner. The Central Asian countries are the closest and most strategic partners. And we see this Central Asia-Azerbaijan corridor as a beginning of the new chapter. Even during the Soviet times, when there was a connection between the countries, there was never any connection between Azerbaijan and Central Asia. So first time ever we're establishing these links through the subsea cable in the Caspian Sea. So we look forward that with the help of the ADB and the AIB, we will embark on this feasibility very soon. Our project JV will be a focal point for that project. And I think that there is a good opportunity for our partners from the Kyrgyz Republic and the other countries in the Central Asia to join this project with the huge reserves and resources of the hydropower. And hydropower could be a best option to balance and stabilize those green projects, because I will tell you frankly, the green corridors at today's in today's realities, they couldn't be 100% green. Sometimes you need the water, some other sources to balance and just to offset those technical issues within the grid. And so I think that the addition of the new partners will really enrich this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this balanced approach towards utilizing the domestic resources are indeed very important. And of course, the plans regarding the green power renewables very much noted, especially in light of these new projects, Black Sea submarine cable project and Caspian Green Energy Corridor project to fuel those. And Mr. Kachichiladze, as a representative of Black Sea's subsea cable project, do you see that it has gone beyond the strategic interest, the project? And also, what is, from the perspective of utility, what is the main challenge when you do this kind of project?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for inviting Georgian State Electric System to this great event and for your interest in the ADB becoming more intense partner for Georgia in various projects, including energy. As regard to Black Sea Submarine Cable project, the flagship project of Georgia and the Georgian State Electric System, which is right now implementing the project in terms of development of the studies and etc. I can provide you with some insights about this project. First of all, to give you outline, this is connecting Georgian and Romanian power systems through submarine cable, HVDC, and therefore connecting our region to the Eastern European region, and it's very let's say strategic project. And I can say that as such projects, BSSC also started like strategic view approximately 10, 12 years ago, maybe even longer in past, with strategic vision and idea and initiative. I would say that it was really a very good initiative of us presenting this idea, and then it has undergone several phases, preliminary studies, preliminary checks, and etc. Of course, the strategic support of European Union was there, strategic support of our region, mostly partnering with our very good friend and neighbor Azerbaijan was there. So we at the initial stage started to support this project and idea. And we are assumed to be one of the main, let's say, countries who will feel the align with the power with green energy. And we arrived at a certain point when we decided to run full-scale feasibility study in order finally to understand also that not only strategical, let's say, outline of the project, but of course technological and economic part also have to be there. So that feasibility study was running more than 2 years with the support and financing of World Bank, and with the help of Italian consulting company CESI. It finished last year in September, and the feasibility study showed the great potential of the project. First of all, I would say that the topics of feasibility study included not only technical and economic part, but also various different topics such as environmental scoping, route study, procurement strategy, and etc. and etc. Technological solution is there. I can say, despite the fact that Black Sea is not easy, let's say, apart from the the regional situation, the sea also is deep, long, but there are companies and technologies worldwide that can address that technological challenges. And in the let's say list of challenges, I would say that technological part is not top, let's say, problem for us. As regards to economic, so CBA, economic CBA showed that overall benefit is positive for the project, and economically feasible, and with the support of and assumptions that there will be support from EU funds. It can be different funds, but mostly I refer to Connect Europe facility that has possibility to support such projects with grant financing, as well, the project becomes financially viable as well. So all these results enabled us to make decision to apply for the ENTSO-E. This is European Transmission System Operator Association, for inclusion into the list of 10-year network development plan list. And also end of last year, we applied also to EU Commission for inclusion of the project into project of mutual interest of you, which will finally make this project, in case of positive decision, for, let's say, European project and strategical also for all sides. Having said this, and having in mind all these developments that this project undergo, I can say and conclude that, of course, project went beyond the strategic, let's say, geopolitical initiative, and it's already, we can assume that project is already nominated as technical, economically feasible project. First of all, economic project, but we also have to understand that we all have to have clear vision about the strategic goal, and such projects are, of course, strategical. This is not the end of the development of this project, that we still have to do quite a lot in order to reach final investment decision, right? Because right now we are busy with the preparatory work for the seabed survey, geotechnical, geophysical study, environmental impact assessment, let's say risk assessment, and other studies that is necessary in order to arrive finally at the investment decision. And we assume and we hope that by early 2027, this will be already, let's say, this project will be ready to make let's say, make decision about starting implementation and realization of this project.
Thank you very much. I have this kind of a question. These two mega projects, Black Sea submarine cable project and Caspian Green Energy Corridor project, are these two projects, and this question goes to both Mr. Zeynalov and Mr. Kachiladze, are these two projects linked or they are competing?
Very good question. The larger project, actually, starting from the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Romania, Hungary, this Green Energy Corridor project, the source would be wind farms of the Caspian Sea. So we've just, our project company just applied for the ENTSO-E TYNDP, 10-year network development plan. And there is a three-phased approach for that. By 2032, 1.3 gigawatt, 2036, another 1.3 gigawatt, and by 2040, 1.3 gigawatt. So 3.9 gigawatt in total. The Black Sea project, it started a bit earlier, and feasibility, as my colleague, Mr. Kachiladze mentioned, it's encompassing 1.3 gigawatt. The feasibility has been conducted by the same company, our good partners from CESI. That feasibility is completed. The feasibility for the larger project is on the way, actually. Many similarities, of course. We're talking about the cable, subsea HVDC cable. Both feasibilities includes the FOC component, fiber optic component. So naturally, from our perception, of course, they at some point they could be merged, as we're talking about the power of the larger interconnected interconnection system. I would say that we should wait for the completion of our feasibility for the Green Energy Corridor, which I think is planned for the third quarter. And The TYNDP for our project has been already applied. For the PMI, for the project of mutual interest from the EU, we will apply for next year, and it will take some time. We know the rules and guidelines of the European Commission. It takes 1-2 years to just complete the procedures. But generally, as we met in Baku with the Commission representatives, European Commission during Baku Energy Week, and in next week we are also meeting in Brussels. Our minister and commissioner will meet for the next meeting of the EU-Azerbaijan high-level energy dialogue. This green energy corridor project stands on the top of our agenda right now, along with the gas supply issues. So naturally, Commission has a great interest in this project. So we think that at the end, it's destined to go to Europe, the energy. The off-takers and generally the importers are generally the countries of the region, and there is a great demand there. The Bulgaria is also expressed interest to join the project, and the Bulgaria joining the project can provide extra flexibility and options to also to supply that to the Balkans, to Western Balkans, to the other countries, also to the Western Europe, etc. So in terms, we can talk about, of course, generally that there are many similarities.
Thank you for this question, and I will add also my insight about it. Of course, Georgia and Azerbaijan, as best example of partnership, we are working with the same effort and same interest on both projects. And sometimes this, let's say, different corridors and different outline of this, let's say, technological configuration makes confusion who are really involved into this process. And for this clarification, as I said, Black Sea submarine cable project, a strategic project, and idea was born earlier, and all these new developments were broader capacities and corridors stemming from this idea. And right now we can say that this project in no way are competitive to each other. They are more complementary to each other. So there's difference. Is that in case of Black Sea submarine cable project, the capacity for the transmission is limited cable because it connects directly through the cable, as I said, Romania and Georgian system, while using and concentrating the investment only in submarine part and converter station part, while using existing system and cross-border line between Georgia and Azerbaijan and Romania and Hungary and perhaps to Bulgaria. But if we are talking for more broader capacities, bigger, let's say, cooperation, then we have to construct the whole energy power bridge from Caspian through Black Sea, through Romania to Central Europe, right? So in this case, the configuration is, technical configuration is different, complexity is different, but there's international governmental agreement that directly supports both projects, like mentioning Black Sea submarine cable project, green energy corridor projects, and I would say that in the feasibility study that is ongoing for bigger project from green energy corridor project, the Black Sea submarine cable is assumed as already existing infrastructure. So it means that Black Sea submarine cable, whether there will be one or several, will be one component, bigger component, but still a component for that bigger power bridge we are now talking about. Thank you.
One important point, Georgia, along with Turkey, our main strategic partner in terms of the energy transit. These two countries are playing a huge role in supplying the natural gas, the oil to the European markets. Now we consider this green corridor as a new southern gas corridor. So the fundamental basic principle is our strategic cooperation with Georgia in all spheres, including in the energy. And we think that we have a common understanding, as Mr. Kachachiladze mentioned, in terms of the certain approaches. And the IGA, which we signed in 2022 at the level of the heads of state and government, this is a fundamental principle and it's a way to go. We have a common position in terms of the JV's operations, our joint venture, which represents all countries' interests. And I think that the future is bright. Azerbaijan has a huge resource of the renewable energy. Georgia has a very good resource, very large reserves of the renewable energy. As mentioned by my colleague, it's one cable, then additional one cable coming from 2032. Then we also have in our green energy corridor, starting from 2035, hydrogen production. We've opted for the late hydrogen adoption, but still the hydrogen will be a part of the equation with the investment to the electrolyzer, etc. So I think that the political will of the leadership of the two countries and generally the strategic cooperation within all aspects of our bilateral track, I think these are the most important factors which will decide the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much for clarifying these important questions. Now we all know that these projects are completing each other, and it's actually one big mega project. Mr. Nurmagomedov, Kazakhstan plays pivotal role in Central Asian connectivity. So how do you see development on your end, including the role for Central Asian power system, if any?
So, good morning, everyone. Thanks. First of all, my pleasure to be here, and thanks for ADB for having me here. I'm glad to see all the colleagues and friends and neighboring partners and colleagues. Returning to a question, I'm so much inspired by Mr. Zeynalov's optimism regarding this project, about the export opportunities of region, Azerbaijan region, and Central Asia. And I found myself on a thought that we in Central Asia, like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, struggling with the deficit today and trying to figure out our problems to deliver more energy, to deliver the clean energy. And this gives us certain perspective to that kind of project. And Nana, you asked in the beginning to be very frankly, so I'm not official, so I can be more less optimistic than others, than officials, and I do agree with that corridors are crucial, green corridors, and I agree with Mr. Zinalov that we shouldn't think about like the corridors, for example, Caspian cable, just a green corridor. I agree it will be just a corridor of one more connection, and as a power industry player, stakeholders, we agree that as many connections we have, better for the system. And what's happening now, we having this good negotiations with Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and recent players showed that cooperation started boosted, and we had this, by the way, and thanks to Mr. Talabek Omikech, that he participated in strong, difficult negotiations regarding water, power supply in the region. And even 5 years ago, there was no such cooperation. Even ADB was promoting SARAC program, saying systems should trade with each other. But it's difficult to do than to say, because the prices are different in the region, the systems are different, and the seasons does not fit each other well. And there's a long discussion, and thanks to political decision makers, it has been done. So level of cooperation, level of trust in the system have been raised significantly, and this gives a hope opportunity to deliver future projects, because each country has its own plans. Kyrgyzstan is has own ambitions on renewables and hydro. Uzbekistan has tremendous number of projects. And Kazakhstan is delivering this gigawatts of renewables, and not only renewables, but also gas power plants and coal refurbishment. So we need interconnection, and definitely we need more projects in the grid. And we expect this feasibility study. It would be interesting to see what will be results. So how do financial model is working? Whom do we sell this amount of electricity? So Azerbaijan has plenty of projects, big projects for gigawatts for in Caspian Sea and other regions. Uzbekistan wants to sell excess of its renewables. It's fasting very rapidly, growing very rapidly, and we need to understand how we'll deliver, because there is no connection today between Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan, but there is no connection also between West Kazakhstan and Central Asia. And if you go by current routes, it would more than 2,000 kilometers to build lines from South Kazakhstan to Caspian Sea on Kazakhstan side, and plus subsea cable. So what idea comes to my mind? Probably there's bigger picture of Green Corridor project to add there some renewable hubs. Uzbekistan renewable hub, Kazakhstan hubs, add their gas firing plants who would back up this electricity with related to intermittency, probably to see the opportunity to involve this very important for the region, and I would say very crucial project like Kambaratagas, which is also expensive at almost $4 billion. Who knows how much construction for the lines would cost? But after these calculations, after bringing a bigger picture on the table, I think we will find new opportunities to understand, to transform this project. And definitely we in Kazakhstan fully support this idea of interconnection. And our leaders, frankly speaking, they are the drivers. They meet almost each month, and more and more projects of integration is coming to the agenda, and it's good. So we have a competition of projects. So each country in Central Asia and Azerbaijan itself has big infrastructure projects on railway, on roads, on water, on the power projects, and petrochemicals. And it's obvious for us, for example, that none of us can raise all these projects immediately. So we will have this pipeline because it is connected to the external finance, and it is connected to the World Bank and ADB contribution in terms of bringing these funds to each country or partnerships. And it's obvious, like it had happened to Uzbekistan. Why ADB is so successful in Uzbekistan? Because Uzbekistan is brave to bring government guarantees, sovereign guarantees. It's not so easy to do in Kazakhstan. And at certain point, we will be the stopping kind of wagon in this train. So, but this competition of projects will lead us to clear structure, clear picture. And I believe not all of these projects are integration, but most of them will be delivered. And this is good to understand that Central Asia and plus Azerbaijan, all the region today is thinking about how to do this. If previously it was kind of mindset that how not to do because we are independent, we are sovereign states, we want this kind of to be secured work in the power system as an island. No, the only success comes when you work together with your neighbors, and as more you interact with the neighbors, more resilient the system all over. And it's a challenge, but it's doable, and we say this. It has been done in many regions, and Middle East, in Europe, and I believe the next step for our region as well. So that's I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think you said very important, actually, the big advantage of Central Asia in terms of delivering these big projects is the readiness to cooperate and the intergovernmental agreements and understanding and cooperation. We had yesterday the session on interregional interconnections, and other parts of Asia actually struggle with that, the lack of intergovernmental agreements on this kind of project. So this is a big advantage of Central Asia, Central West Asia, and it should be a real driver in that sense. But you raised also an important issue of question of where's the market. So that gets us to the next myth or reality question. EU electricity market access for Central West Asia countries are decades away. Mr. Hiari, would you agree with that?
Good morning. First of all, thank you for the kind invitation to participate in this event. I'm here to share a bit of European perspectives, but it's also always very refreshing to hear some different discussions from around the world, and I'm very grateful to take away some of the interesting conclusions that I've heard in this forum. My answer will be diplomatic. I think it depends. Europe has for many years now developed a system which is based on a vast array of rules and regulations and legislative frameworks that have been established to make sure that the system is working in all fairness, transparency, non-discriminatory way to ensure that you have fair access and fair prices for end consumers. There were some interesting discussions from previous speakers, at least points that they made, which can sound a bit more optimistic. We've seen that in the previous years, the European energy sector has changed drastically in a very short period of time. So it's very normal and understandable that diversification of supply is high on the agenda. So the viability of some of these projects is very interesting for the EU to be able to have access to reliable and green energy is obviously a top priority. However, the main important topic here is the set of rules and the legislative frameworks that exist. So if you don't have this compatibility in other markets, it's complicated to have access to EU markets. We have some positive examples. I'm thinking here more specifically about the Western Balkan examples where, of course, through a long process of harmonization, adaptation, and this can be very trivial, from translating legislation to implementing it effectively in markets. This can take a long period of time. So the short answer is it depends how willing these countries in this area are to adapt reform and swiftly implement it effectively in their markets. The other interesting point that was made right now is that these are different markets. They have different structures, they have different realities. So how well they manage to harmonize the legislative and regulatory frameworks will impact how fast they can access EU markets. So overall, cautious and optimism, I would say.
Thank you. But we agreed on the frankness today. So let's be direct. What would be the minimum regulatory conditions for Central West countries to access EU markets? Maybe a few.
Sure. I mean, again, these are can be a very extensive discussion over network codes, all the different energy packages that have been adapted in the EU over the course of several decades now. The main ones that I will highlight here for the sake of this conversation is starting off, first of all, by I think the regulatory independence and the importance of having independent and strong regulators. Of course, not just because I am from the Council of European Energy Regulators, but also because ultimately, if you don't have strong independent regulators that are functioning in a certain legislative framework and are able to implement the tasks that are reserved to European regulators, you cannot inspire a fair system. So I think very important for countries in this region to consider the importance of having independent regulators that can deliver on their tasks in a non-discriminatory and non-influentiable way. The EU since the 90s has undergone a very long process of liberalization. You kind of need to have competitive markets if you want to access EU markets. This is one of the central aspects of the discussion. We've gone through several unbundling regimes in Europe, and this is one of the critical elements to having free, competitive prices that are working in the interest of consumers. And this is probably one of the factors that we've seen in recent history to not allow access to markets is when you have vertical companies that are not unbundled, it makes the whole situation very complicated. If your electricity company is owning the lines and also involved in selling the electricity, this poses an obvious issue. Another aspect is also relating to the market rules. There has been very extensive work, which my colleagues can also, who have a bit more historical background on the efforts that have been undergone in Europe, long and arduous efforts to put forward network codes and guidelines that apply to intraday markets, capacity allocation, balancing markets. All of these rules that dictate how the European market functions are critical. And if you sort of don't function in the same code, let's say, it's difficult to envision any participation in the European markets. And then maybe one final point is touching on interconnectors. Colleagues mentioned ENTSO-E and the work that's being done there. You need to have a certain level of harmonization and technical adaptations that allow you to make these projects realistic. If you're not communicating in the same language, you don't have the same technical criteria for your projects, it makes it complicated to see a future for some of these projects. So I think overall, I would say independent regulators, liberalized markets, harmonized market rules, and also a strong interconnection policy that allows these projects to exist.
Thank you very much. It sounds quite a lot of work to be done by the countries, and I believe EDB, AB, and World Bank Sense are very ready to support in that, but we'll hear about it in a minute. There's another kind of hard truth question. Regional interconnection points are capital intensive long term and most of the time politically exposed. It's not so much a question of how to finance it, but who will take the first risk? So another myth or reality question, Mr. Huang. You can finance regional energy trade without sovereign guarantees. Do you see private sector engagement without support of sovereign here in this kind of project?
Thank you, Nana. I want to express my appreciation to honor to join this panel with esteemed speakers on talking about ambitious but very promising initiative of regional cooperation. So regarding your question, if I can be blunt, then I think it will be very difficult to have the private sector to participate in the scheme of the regional cooperation at this point. I think Mr. Jandos and others talked about success story of each countries in our region, particularly in Uzbekistan, where government was able to attract tremendous private sector in accelerating development of renewable energy. But when you talk about the regional cooperation, creates a different problem. I think Mr. Chiari mentioned the importance of having a harmonized regulatory framework so that the risk be mitigated for the private sector, then country to be able to have a open, predictable, and transparent mechanism of cooperation. So I think eventually, once the market is set up and the regulation is harmonized, then it will have the market to dictate the participation. But until that time, I think it is very important that each stakeholder has to play their role to build the trust and gain the system. The government has a role to lead a discussion on assuring the political wills and the visions. I think the regulator also has the role to harmonize their system with the government trust to coordinate among the countries involved. But also, MDBs, we can also play an important role in supporting the market development, enabling the reform to set the countries the same standard, and also facilitating the discussions amongst the countries. I want to highlight that, ADB has a privilege to provide some capacity building and roundtable discussion. Last year, Uzbekistan hosted a roundtable for regulator from the region and the beyond. I think this is a great first step to put the key players in the same place and start a discussion about the problems to address on reaching the regional cooperation. So I think there's a room to play for every player to play.
Thank you. Mr. Kidd, how can World Bank and other IFIs de-risk this kind of projects? And do you see any financial instrument which is underused maybe now?
First of all, thank you for having me. Thanks to the ADB for organizing this great panel, and also great to see our counterparts and clients with whom we work together on a daily basis to discuss these important projects and visions. I think a lot of the answers were already given to the question how I would say ADB and World Bank, we have also a new partnership we can finance together, can help de-risk the projects. Given the size that we're talking about, especially Central Asia to Europe, I think there's definitely more than one financier needed. If we think back, I think what also Director General Zukov mentioned, we would need to be engaged and can help the countries, first of all, in the policy space, obviously with technical assistance based on grants or loans to put and create the enabling frameworks that are needed, and also discuss with our convening power with the partners on the other side of the ocean, the European Commission and the European institutions. So bring knowledge, technical assistance, and know-how. Second, I think then is to help as GSE already outlined with the feasibility studies. First of all, to prove concept. Is it actually feasible economically, financially, and technically to make sound decisions of whether the countries should invest more of time and money in these projects? We're very glad to say that for the Black Sea submarine project, we've proven concept and are now working on the next steps. In terms of financing then, and I think that goes back to your question also before, there's a big role for the MDBs to play to de-risk. So I think de-risking comes first on policy, technical, etc., then on the multi-jurisdictional, so convening power, and then on the financing. So when we bring money, the private sector will be interested because first of all, they believe in the feasibility of the project. Second, they believe that we will help de-risk it. And there we have then, I think, the whole array of financing options from public sector lending, so AAA, plus then also helping the countries think through frameworks to bring in the private sector. I would like to say that, in Europe, which is the region with most subsea connections, you have the regulated asset basis model, which is the main one. You have by now, I think, one or two fully merchant models, which are using cap and floor, link between France and the UK. So for the size we're talking and the complexity in the Black Sea, Caspian region, I think that would be a bit too risky. So we're probably talking about either the RAB or new models that we would need to discuss also with the European Commission and regulators, which can make exemptions or adopt new models, how to then bring in private sector. I think in general, we have what is there, and we can increasingly use our, let's say, integrated firepower as multilaterals to come in with public sector financing, bring in our private sector financing arms, and then also on the guarantee side. Let me stop here.
Thank you. So it seems we can de-risk, we can finance, we can support, but in the end, Mr. Wei, what would make you say yes to this kind of projects? And would there be any deal breakers?
Thank you very much. And first of all, thank you for ADB to inviting AIIB to participate in this important and forum. Also, for me, working for ADB also for a long time, coming back is really coming back to home. And let me, regarding your question, I think first, strategically, it's very important for us to support the connectivity and the cross-border connectivity and regional cooperations. So in a sense, without thinking of the technical side, this is strategically perfect project for us to support. So it is embedded in our article of agreement. And so cross-border connectivity is one of the three KPIs in our corporate strategy. We only have 3 KPIs. So this is one of 3 we have to meet. Second, and we have all the means we can provide and support to private sector, to the public sector, and to the PPPs, and through the direct lending, through equity, or through partial debt guarantees, if necessary. So depending on the feasibility study side and what is the results, so we can think of what is the best way to come in. And also, if I can think of from a regional or global perspective, to think of this kind of corridor and emergencies of a green corridors, middle corridors in Central Asia and West Asia in today's environment, it's not very, it's different this time, I would say. Of course, it is still the beginning, but if you look at the middle corridor of Central Asia, this already become a real alternative to trade. So Central Asia and West Asia really become a land-linked territory through East Asia trade and European trade. So this kind of development has already gone beyond, I would say, the tipping point. So shows some kind of economic competitivity and become a real alternative. This is proven in the COVID side, and COVID period is proven, and under the still ongoing the geopolitical uncertainty. So this, and once you reach the certain skills, and this investment will come, the economic benefits will multiply. I think this is a very important point. Another point I like to highlight is regulatory soft side are very important. Technical compatibility is important, but political commitment is also important. If you see the region, the political commitment is very strong now. It's stronger than ever before. You look at Cambarata, you look at Rangoon, it's coming to the almost reality or close to the closing financing. And it's a reflection of a regional commitment, collective commitment to the regional corporations. Another thing is a vast renewable energy resources become another source for the economic of the region to grow. And so this is a very important, and the energy demand in Europe and the green energies, and I mean the Paris alignment, this kind of initiative, pushing all of us to walk in that direction. So given that kind of a bigger strategic background, I think this is very important for us to work on this. In that sense, we are very pleased to work with ADB and work with the regional countries, and to have this agreement to provide some small amount of technical assistance to do the feasibility studies of submarine and Caspian and cable, and also to provide some additional money to do the some kind of scoping study or analysis of other associated infrastructure will be needed in order to do, as you suggested, and I mean, in the Black Sea, maybe existing infrastructure is already there, but maybe Caspian Sea, you have to think of what is additional infrastructure, including the transmission lines from Kazakhstan or from others. So potential is there. And I would say I'm still quite optimistic. I think, and this is a good time to take actions. We are already coming to the point of taking real actions, real considering the financings from all the MDBs. And if we can work together with private sectors and governments to provide long-term financing to make this maybe even more affordable economically and financially. Let me stop here.
Thank you very much. I have one question which I want to ask each of you, but before we do that, I want to give a chance to audience maybe for a couple of questions. If you have, please raise your hand. We'll provide the microphones. Okay, I don't see anyone is willing to, but if later on you have some questions, you also always can put that in our application and we'll try to provide the written response. So one last question to each of you. What is, in one sentence, what is something that needs to be changed in Central and West Asia to become a credible electricity trade region? Maybe we'll start with Mr. Wei.
About Central Asia, but through the, we're thinking of connecting, I'm thinking of a transport corridor in that kind of perspective. We are thinking of connecting East Asia through Central Asia and West Asia to Europe. It's almost like wheel, but more important, to make this a success, any corridor, you have to involve in Central Asia. So benefits should also stay in Central Asia. That's one of the factors.
Thank you. Mr. Huang?
I agree with the two previous speakers, and I would add just trust. The trust is crucial, and what is promising that Central Asia countries started to communicate with each other more often and more trust on the table, and this gives me strong belief that that kind of projects will be delivered in time. And if I may add one just short point that I have missed, when I told about green corridors, let's think about like a bigger picture. I have another kind of not idea, proposal. We probably could see this green corridor as one connection with China as well, because distance between Xinjiang and East South Kazakhstan is very short, and bringing on the table one more participant, big player like China, will bring us more knowledge, technology, and finance as well, and strong commitment to deliver this project. So it can be not Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, but China, if we consider. But again, I have no such kind of power. With this kind of discussion, probably a big player like China could deliver more chances to our project in bringing subsea cable in Azerbaijan. I believe it can.
Thank you. I see we're expanding globally as we speak.
I think the political trust and political relations are at the highest level. I think that on the political side, everything is being covered, and there is a strong political will at all levels for the energy interconnection. Central Asia and Azerbaijan, we see the Central Asia as our natural partners. This is the partnership of equals, actually. This is also, from this point of view, is also easier to delve with our Central Asian friends, brothers. From other point, of course, it's important that just political will is the first step, but for the second step, in each project you look into that, the first questions comes to mind, what is the investment return when the private sector comes to on board, and in different projects you have those different investment models, etc. Sort of a collaboration between not just public but the private sectors as well. New sources of financing mechanisms. Of course, we are cooperating at the national level. At the national level, certain steps have been taken, but this regional interconnectors can be also a facilitator, driver, catalyst for the national transformation as well. We're talking about, for example, the future Central Asia-Azerbaijan corridor. My colleague Jandos mentions that still there are some issues open, that in which way, in which direction it will come from Kazakhstan, from Uzbek. So this can also trigger some internal changes as well. From Azerbaijan point of view, we're fully committed to deliver. We're fully committed to move forward with these projects. And from our side, the government will provide all kind of support in terms of the optimizing the costs, providing all incentives for the investors and partners from China, from Europe, from Middle East, public, private sector, and also continuing our collaboration with the MDBs. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also would like to continue that line, which Mr. Zainalov just developed. Even though I don't represent political body of Georgian institutions, but from the project developer perspective, what we have seen, the enabling environment in terms of stable geopolitical situation and geopolitical will is first. That is important for developing such multinational, multi-billionaire projects, because we have quite good examples in the region of such cooperation, but also bad examples of let's say, inappropriate geopolitical situation that, of course, will be obstacle for developing such projects. Second, I would say very strong and push between these initiatives and clean energy, let's say, producers and utilization of this potential what our regions have in terms of renewable energies are very important, because we have to have in mind that despite of these strategical goals and etc., we are striving for technically for market integration, because all these interconnectors are for market integration, for cheaper energy, for greener energy, for reduced CO2 emissions, and etc. So strong link all in this process with these renewable energy producers and project promoters on that side is, and coordination is very important. Otherwise, this project standalone cannot develop by itself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The EU has developed probably one of the most complex and interconnected energy systems in the world. There's more than 5,000 pages that dictate how the regulatory and legal framework allows this whole system to work. And I think there's some good lessons to be shared abroad on how the EU manages to deliver energy to its end consumers. We do this. We do a lot of work to create capacity building, cooperation with our neighbors and partners. And I think there's a lot to do on the cooperation side, understanding the rules, how the system works, and this can inform other parts of the world to achieve the kind of energy transition that we are aspiring to do in Europe. So more discourse, dialogues and forums like this allow for this exchange of understanding and discourses. And I think that's the right way to go.
Very much.
Still on. I think most of the things have already been said. So let me just add one more. This is the inclusion and the value proposition to the gatekeeper to the EU, and that is Turkey, which are missing on this panel.
Thank you very much. Indeed, we would be benefiting having Turkey with us, but maybe next time. It was first opportunity to discuss the topic from all possible angles. And thank you very much for really very valuable perspectives and insights. And let's hope that this session will not be a closing point, but more starting point, a whole different kind of regional cooperation built on open dialogue, shared interconnections, and ambition. So thank you very much. And I would like to thank also audience for being with us. With this, we close this session. We are inviting you to the coffee break, and we expect you back in the room after coffee break. We will have a lot more to discuss and very interesting presentations followed. I would also like to ask speakers not to leave the stage for the group photo. Thank you. Thank you very much. PG. Yes, yes. Thank you very much. No.
stage. Director General, Azerbaijan Renewable Energy Agency. Ms. Margalita Arabidze, Head of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Policy, Ministry of Economy and Sustainable Development, Georgia. Mr. Jandos Nurmagomedov, Director General, Kaz Energy Association, Kazakhstan. Mr. Sadirov Albek Adilovich, Deputy Director General, Open Joint Stock Company, Electric Power Plants, Kyrgyz Republic. Mr. Akmal Abdullayev, Deputy Director, Joint Stock Company, National Electric Grid, Uzbekistan. Thank you all for being here and sharing your expertise and perspective. So just a couple of house rules for today's session. We will start with each panel's presentation, allowing roughly 10 minutes for a speaker, after which we will open the floor for an interactive discussion. So I'll be keeping an eye on the time so that we can hear from everyone and still have the space for Q&A session. Please bear with me if I'm interrupting you gently so that we can keep track of time. So I'm pleased to invite our first speaker, Mr. Javid Abdullayev, to share Azerbaijan's approach to the clean energy transition.
Thank you, Tahmina Khanum. Dear distinguished participants, colleagues and friends, it's an honor to contribute to this important discussion today. Azerbaijan's commitment to Azerbaijan's commitment to sustainability is deeply embedded in our national planning. Our socio-economic development strategy for 2022 and 2026 outlines a clear roadmap for sustainable growth with a strong focus on environmental resilience and green innovation. Aligned with our fifth national priority, we are working to build a clean environment and accelerate our transition toward a green growth model through forward-looking policies and targeted investments. Azerbaijan is richly endowed with renewable energy resources, particularly wind, solar, and hydropower. Our technical potential includes 135 gigawatt onshore and 157 gigawatt offshore. Of this, the economic potential amounts to 27 gigawatt onshore and 38 gigawatt offshore. The abundance gives us a solid foundation to implement strategic initiatives such as green energy zones and corridors, enabling both national transformation and regional cooperation. To realize this potential, we have adopted a phased approach. In phase first, which is cover 2023 and 2027, we plan to commission approximately 2 gigawatt of solar and wind capacity. Phase 2 will supply an additional 700 megawatt domestically, while targeting 4 gigawatt for export. Phase 3, which will cover 2031 and 2037, will add up to 9.5 gigawatt, focusing on hydrogen production, decarbonization, and export. This stage plan ensures energy security, drives economic growth, and supports the broader clean energy transition across the region. To support this expansion, robust grid infrastructure is essential. Our Azure project, approved by the World Bank this year, includes 3 key components: connecting the 240 megawatt Absheron Karadagh wind power plant to the transmission grid, strengthening and expanding the 330-500 kV high voltage grid to safely and reliably transmit up to 1 gigawatt of renewable electricity generated by the private sector, and finally, enhancing grid stability to better integrate 1.8 gigawatt of renewable electricity through private investments. Additionally, the 330 kV Jabrail Junction substation features a digital control center that enables automated switching, intelligent management, and real-time operational monitoring. Our clean energy ambitions extend beyond national borders. As already in previous session mentioned by the Honorable Deputy Minister, Azerbaijan is strategically developing three major export corridors: the Caspian Black Sea Europe Green Energy Corridor, the Central Asia Azerbaijan Green Energy Corridor, and the Azerbaijan Turkey Europe Green Energy Corridor. These corridors will not only diversify energy routes, but also connect regions with reliable green electricity. As the host of COP29, Azerbaijan is championing several global energy initiatives. First one is the Hydrogen Declaration, seeks to accelerate clean hydrogen production by removing regulatory and financial barriers, with support from 62 countries and 47 non-state actors. Second is the Green Energy Pledge, promotes the development of green energy zones and international corridors to drive sustainable growth and regional cooperation. And the third one is the Global Energy Storage and Grids Pledge, endorsed by 65 countries and 46 non-state actors, aims to increase energy storage capacity sixfold by 2030 and massively expand grid infrastructure. These global commitments reflect our strong intention to align national progress with international climate and energy goals. One key milestone was the presentation of Azerbaijan's National Hydrogen Strategic Outlook at COP29. This document outlines three development scenarios: balanced, accelerated, and ambitious for scaling green hydrogen production. Each includes assessments of domestic use, export potential, and required renewable capacities. The balanced and accelerated scenarios require 8.9 gigawatt and 70.7 gigawatt by 25 respectively. The ambitious scenarios envisions reaching 30 gigawatt by 2060. Finally, our national plan for electromobility complements all these efforts. It supports the expansion of electric mobility across Azerbaijan, aiming to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve air quality, lower dependence on oil-based fuels, and strengthen energy security. Implementation is planned in two stages. First one, 2025 till 2026, and the period after that, 2027. In conclusion, Azerbaijan is committed to a clean, secure, and connected energy future. Through robust planning, international collaboration, and technology-driven implementation, we aim to serve not only national interests, but also contribute meaningfully to regional and global decarbonization efforts. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Abdullayev. I'm sure that our audience already have questions prepared, but we'll let you listen to other speakers for now, and we'll open the floor for questions later when we hear all the presentation. And I'll give the floor to Ms. Margalita Arabidze to present the Georgia experience and priorities. Thank you.
Wait, sorry. A very good morning. Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for organizers and for very interesting session and which is enduring in this week. Firstly, I would like to share information about a legal framework in Georgia in the clean energy and green energy and in renewable energy also. And let me start. And the first very important is a national energy policy, which approved by the parliament and last year. Also, here is an annex of the energy and climate change integrated action plan, and which covers and the 5 very important dimensions. First, it's very important is in energy security. Energy security is in the maximum utilization of the local renewable energy plus in the regional projects and regional connectivity with the Asia and with Europe. And second, it's very important dimension is the energy efficiency. Energy efficiency in all energy intensity sector, and like in building and like in industry, like in SMEs and like in first categories industry. Of course, in the building, it's a very first and priority because, as you are aware, in consumption, energy consumption is not only electricity consumption. It's so high in the building issues. Sometimes it is in 40 and 45%. That's why in the energy efficiency implementation, it's a critical important for the Georgian government. Third, it's very important is in climate change. As you are aware, in countries and the sign of the Paris agreements, of course, and here is a lot of commitment, including a national determined contribution, NDC, for instance, in Georgia, and 47% is in our commitment. It's so ambitious and for 2030 because emission reduction project is critically important, but it's not in from the energy sector, also in agriculture sector and industry sector and so on and so on. Certainly, very important direction is in the innovation and technology and competitiveness. We are talking about an emission reduction project. We are talking about renewable energy, of course, and heat pumps and the other and technologies, and it's a critical important, the hydrogen and so on and so on. Because also in transport issues, it is very energy intensity sectors. That's why in the relevant measures in the transport sector and clean use and biofuel and bioliquid, it's a critical important for us. And finally, it is 5 and very important dimensions. It's an energy market inside and energy market in the region as well. Also, let me introduce and the brief information about and other and the laws and the legal frameworks. For instance, and renewable energy, we transposed in the renewable energy directive. It was in 2019. Renewable energy and directives and the accordingly law and covers and the such and the small and medium and large size of the renewable energy and the projects. Also here is a new and directions, including a guarantee for origin mechanism. Also here is an information about a small energy community and net metering and so on. Also here is in the energy efficiency in building, energy labeling and regulation, of course, and we are talking about security, of course, and any energy saving components critical important for us. That's why in the energy efficiency building and energy labeling and covers and all energy efficiency direction. On the right side is city targets in renewable energy, energy efficiency, greenhouse gas emissions, and so on. And for instance, in Georgia, and our targets is so ambitious for 2030, it is 27% of renewable energy share in the energy balance. Question is, what is now? Now is only in 90%. It means, and for 2030, we need at least 900 megawatts and from the renewable energy. Is so ambitious. From them, 7% is renewable energy used in the transport sector. I mean, in biofuel, I mean, and for example, electric vehicle and the hybrid and so on and so on. Question is what is now? It is then more or less than 1%. That's why also it's very ambitious. Here is a greenhouse gas emission reduction targets, also in the primary energy and the final energy and the targets. As regards the renewable energy projects in Georgia, and firstly, and the installed capacity of our renewable energy, it is more than and the 4,700 megawatts. Also, it's very important. 75% of the installed capacity is in the renewable energy. On the left side, here is information and hydropowers, and I mean, and micro and medium and large hydropowers. Installed capacity is today it's 3.5 and the gigawatt. As regards to thermal power plant, it is 1.2 gigawatts from thermal. As regards to wind power, it is and typical demonstration and pilot project, which operated in 2016, and it is a very small number in the energy balance. On the right side, here is an ongoing project in this until in 2074, and hydropower plant is the number of the project. It is more than 200 in the projects, and installed capacity is 3.8 and the gigawatt. As regards in the solar project, it is in this solar project, it's 33, and installed capacity is more than 200 megawatt. Also here is a wind power plants, 25 projects, and installed capacity is 1,200 megawatts. Of course, and we have and we are talking about an implementation, and the support scheme is critically important for the renewable energy projects. We have two types of the support scheme mechanisms. It's not new, but already we finalized two very important auctions. First is it contract for difference and CFD mechanism. Second is in PPA, power purchase agreement. Both in the support scheme mechanisms work in Georgia. We hope and we will achieve our ambitious targets in the future. Also, in the since in Georgian energy grids, it's relatively small, and there are limitations to integrate and the variable and renewable energy sources. Of course, I will speak about this in the following slides, but of course, and it is very key challenge to relatively small and the limitation of the grid. Here is information about the grid expansion of renewable integration. As I mentioned, and there are grid limitations to integrate and variable renewable in Georgia, according to Georgian state electoral system, and we can integrate in 750 megawatts and for 2028. As regards to 500 megawatt, it is in the solar, also in the same timeline is this project. Now I'm speaking on ongoing electricity network and the project by the transmission system operator. First, it's internal projects. The second, it's cross-border projects and local projects. Local projects and covers 220 and kilovolt and high voltage transmission line and the 110. As regards to internal projects, and the covers and includes and the projects and affecting and the power in installed transit and the transit, and cross-border project, it covers and the projects and the affecting the capacity and the ability of the transit and flows amongst the power system of the grid and the neighboring countries as well. And in order to implementation of this, projects, we will need at least €1 billion and for implementation. And of course, and totally it is in 1,400 kilometers high voltage and overhead and the lines. Let me introduce information about an interconnectivity. Georgia, of course, in the first session and talking about an interconnectivity and regional cooperation and what is in challenges and advantages as the same field, but Georgia has a strategic location and they plays important role for the transit of the energy resources, including electricity. As you are aware, in our neighbors Azerbaijan, Armenia, Turkey, and Russia. On the left side, it is technical parameters and the connection with the neighbors. On the right side, and his information about the Black Sea submarine cable. As you are aware, in the hydropower plays is very important roles for the electricity mix of Georgia. We have the more generation of electricity and then consumption in summer, and therefore are exported electricity to neighboring countries summer, mostly in Turkey, because the market is here. In winter, we need to import some amount of the electricity to cover our needs. And we are also actively ensuring and transit of the electricity. Diversification of energy supply is very important aspects of energy security and the development of the energy sector of the country. In this regards, and the Black Sea and submarine cable and the project, it is and the I would like to highlight in the Black Sea submarine cable project its aim and to enhance and the regional connectivity and enable renewable energy trading and between the Caucasus and of course into the Europe. As regards in the next slide, let me introduce information about green energy corridor projects. My colleagues and they also already introduced information about green energy corridor projects. We said from the government point, and we think it's very important project. It is a really energy security project for us. Agreement of the strategy partnerships in the field of the green energy development and transmission and between the governments of the Republic of Azerbaijan and Georgia and Romania and Hungary was signed in December and 2022. This year, beginning of this year in February, and joint venture has been registered in Bucharest and Romania with the participation of the 4 and the transmission system operators. The purpose of the joint venture is to implement the green energy corridor project, which includes the construction of the high voltage transmission submarine power transmission cable in the Black Sea. The Black Sea and submarine cable will be important component of the corridor and will export and renewable electricity and from the South Caucasus to the Europe. The green energy corridor also includes green hydrogen because it's a priority area in production and the trade also for us. Let me introduce and brief information about the green hydrogen, green growth strategy and battery energy project. As you are aware, and this year, and we started a very important cooperation with the Asian Development Bank. And first is a loan program, battery energy storage program. It is a capacity of the project is a 200 megawatt. We are very beginning stage, but we think in the near future will take and will achieve our targets in the battery storage. It is a really security and sustainability project and for us. And as regards and green hydrogen, already finalized and green hydrogen strategy. We think at the end of this year will approved by the parliament. As regards an action plan and roadmap and gap analysis, of course, we have a grant cooperation with the Asian Development Bank, and the end of this year will finalize then the action plan roadmap and gap analysis in the green hydrogen. As regards green growth strategy, it is also a new project. We have a very close cooperation with the World Bank, and green growth strategy and covers all energy intensity sector, like an industry and building and the SMEs and so on. We have a first draft of the green growth strategy as regards and the end of this year will be approved by the government. It is a really important document because as you are aware, and the OECD countries and the approved and the green growth strategy, and also when identifying and the relevant direction is this bill. That's why we are talking about and the ambitious targets. We are talking about and the sectoral and the horizontal measures, of course, and green growth strategy is critically important for us. As regards and it's at the last not least, it is in the information about challenges with the implementation and interconnection projects. Let me introduce a few very important challenges in this field. First is risks of the global and supply chain and the disruption and caused and by the global instabilities impacts the timely implementation of energy infrastructure projects. Second, it's very important is a lack of the unified and power market is a region as a significant and challenge for the integrated of Georgia's electricity grid and with a neighboring system, and more effort and needs then to be and put into and strengthening the capacity of Georgian stakeholders involved in the elaboration of the renewable energy projects in the country, and of course, and more studies and the needed and the capacity building and the relevant activities and the kickoff meeting and awareness raising campaign and so on. It's very important in this field. I will stop here, and as you can see, and we have very already significant progress on our way to the energy transition, and nevertheless more action are needed to implement of the role of the regional cooperation. It's a critical important for us. I will stop here, and thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Margarita. It's very good to hear the perspective from the Georgia and both opportunities and challenges. And I'll give the floor to Mr. Zhantos Nurmagomedov to share the Kazakhstan perspective with us. And please do prepare your questions. Nobody is getting lunch without questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much
for this opportunity. I have prepared some information about the Kazakh system, so it would be quite important to understand how big role Kazakhstan plays in terms of Central Asia interconnection. So a few facts about Kazakhstan. So it's a big country on territory. It's the 9th largest country in the world. We have a relatively small population for this territory, 20 million. In terms of economy, so $14,000 GDP per capita, and it is the largest economy in Central Asia, 61% of share. So we have proven international reserves, a multilateral policy, favorable tax regime, and I think it's not a secret that in terms of attracting foreign direct investments, it's a leader in Central Asia. More than $300 billion have been attracted. So I believe Kazakhstan quite well known to the international financial institutions country, and we are a member of all these organizations listed on this slide. Regarding the sustainable development strategy, Kazakhstan have been went through several milestones. Initially, it began from the law on support of renewables in early 2000, and 2013 there was adopted concept for Kazakhstan green energy transition, where there are directions where Kazakhstan will move in upcoming years have been written. Frankly speaking, I remember this document, and we couldn't expect that what's written in the strategy will be accomplished very soon. So 10 years later, we see that results are astonishing even for Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan joined Paris Agreement, and Kazakhstan have announced strategy to be carbon neutral by 2060, and this strategy covers several pillars, power sector as well. Everybody pays attention to the power sector, but also we have adopted a strong environmental code, which tightens regulation for industry, for economy. We have announced a hydrogen strategy. We have announced several governmental documents which regulates our attempts in every sphere. Would it be construction? Would it be agriculture? To achieve carbon neutrality in different spheres of economy. As for power system, you can see the picture of how big is in the region our grid. So we have 25 gigawatt installed capacity. Generation last year was 118 gigawatt hours, and you see that major source of generation is coal, which is almost 75%, and fossil fuels together bring almost 80% of power generation. And this gives us on the opposite opportunity to involve more renewable, to targets to reach renewables should be much more aggressive for us, but knowing our location between Russia and between Central Asia, we are very strong dependent on the frequency, and that's why we cannot decrease very fast share of coal generation, which is a frequency providing generation, and that limits us with this amount of renewables which would be integrated. You can see on the right side that potential is big, as in every country in the region, including Azerbaijan, including Georgia, but targets we measure is 15% by 2030, 15% of generation from renewables. Today we have almost 3 gigawatt of installed capacity of renewables, which came through the feed-in tariff system. After that, we switched to auctions, and this 3 gigawatt are mostly financed by private companies. It means that interesting point that all the projects have been financed by private sector and by private banks, but not also private, but EBRD and ADB were active to bring finance, and there is no sovereign guarantees on that side. It means that PPA that we have in our country are very comfortable, and they are inviting more and more people, and as a result, prices on PPAs decreased. So we started in 2013 with 12 cents for wind, but last auction shows us price which we get 3 cents per kilowatt hour, wind and solar. So 3 cents, 3.5 cents is something very average in the market, which that kind of projects financed by developers and financial institutions, and they have a certain level of IRR they targeting, and this gives us understanding that it is the cheapest source of generation. But anyway, we cannot rely only on renewables, because for every megawatt installed of renewables, we have to backup system. So we are launching new program to develop power mix by 2035. And you can see that amount of installed capacity will be significant. So we have to increase from today's 25 gigawatt to 40 gigawatt in 2 years, in 15 years, in 10 years, I mean. And it's quite challenging because when we have been developing this country power plants, we have made we have conducted a study that shows us that our system, Kazakh system itself, not mentioned in Central Asia, cannot absorb that amount of renewables, and definitely the system will meet curtailment in the system. And curtailment by this study shows us that it will be huge amount of curtailment, and this gives us kind of alarm that we need to bring some new ideas to the market. And I have mentioned that PPAs are well known and well famous in the region, and more and more developers coming into the market. And this success on building new renewables in the amount of 3 gigawatt led us to a situation, but big players came to the Kazakhstan, big players, and there's well-known companies from Middle East, from China, and everybody in the region, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan included, and they say, guys, we're gonna build a big power plants, big gigawatt of power, and knowing the fact that we have a study and we have curtailment, they insist that to finance it by cheap financing, we need to bring more comfort to PPA. More comfort, it means simple, that you have to introduce take-or-pay mechanism. Take-or-pay kind of, it's very normal when we, and let's say Kazakhstan as a regulator, as a government, we understand how much curtailment we agree, risk we should accept on our shoulders. And I'm afraid that these 40 gigawatts will not be accomplished, because the amount of curtailment, if we are coming back to renewables, are huge. So if you don't want to pay the curtailment expenses, then you have to pay some storage issues. Storage, again, something new, but we'll developing, and the prices are declining. But anyway, if you introduce for 1 gigawatt, let's say 600 gigawatt hours storage facility, it means that the price in UPP jumps up, and you have to understand that this price will be covered by the consumers. By the way, I've mentioned in the first session that we have been historically the region with low prices, but situation have changed dramatically, significantly. Meeting the deficit, countries have to respond, and we have released the prices. By the way, Kazakhstan is not subsidizing electricity prices like it is done in Uzbekistan or Kyrgyzstan. So we see the growth of electricity, which has been 3, 4, 5% annual growth per kilowatt per year, which was been driven by the growing population, and the industry can consume much electricity, because let's say mining industry or metallurgy or ferroalloys production consumes lots of electricity, and they start to build factories considering the relatively low prices in Kazakhstan. But in recent years, the wholesale prices almost doubled. And we see the signals that consumers say we will not build that facility because you have to protect us the prices, but we cannot protect because we have such ambitious plans to bring generation. If we will not deliver these comforting prices, nobody will invest in generation. That's why, even though we have these indicators that 40 gigawatt of power consumption will be introduced by 2035, I believe it will not be achieved, or it will not be achieved so easily. So country has meeting some obstacles in achieving these sustainable goals, and I think that we have to solve lots of issues to deliver these numbers in terms of policy, in terms of providing good environment in PPA, in legislation, in cooperation with these financial institutions to bring more gas to the system, which is, you see, expanding also significantly. And nuclear power plant is also itself is a big challenge. It's a very expensive facility to deliver. And that share of renewables, I believe, will be reached, but at what cost? This is the question. And we need to solve some issues on grid modernization. It's an biggest obstacle. Kazakhstan is postponing renewable development, not only in our country, but also in neighboring countries like Uzbekistan, because Kyrgyzstan is self-sufficient and it has almost green generation, which is delivered by hydro. They have some more projects on solar and wind, and I believe Kambarata project will be successful because behind the Kambarata, not the only electricity issue, is the water issue, which is very important, and we need to deliver more power in separate seasons for Kyrgyzstan, but we are stuck with this grid in the south. We need to build more 500 kV lines construction to deliver more power to Kyrgyzstan in certain periods. When exchange later on, it will be reimbursed by electricity from the hydropower station. And we need to bring more grid, more lines to bring to Uzbekistan. So Uzbekistan could also, as a system, export this excess of their electricity to bring it to the Kazakhstan or to Azerbaijan, as we discussed in the first session. We have to boost our regional intercooperation, cross-border trade. I think we have some progress on that. Again, I want to mention that regional trade is not so easy task, having in mind that prices are different. And I want to say that hat off to Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan that we have agreed to sell electricity, let's say, cheaper than we sell in Kazakhstan. But for Kyrgyzstan, for example, it's more expensive than it is internal sources. The same for Uzbekistan, having the shortage of gas and electricity. They supply this electricity to Uzbekistan, and this is strong cooperation between three ministers of energy, which say how difficult it would be. We have to keep our promises, and these promises for a couple, 2-3 years are on the table, and this gives me a strong belief that any project in the region can be solved. And definitely we need to go to some new technologies. Kazakhstan is developing smart grid concept, and it's another topic, because if you want to invest in smart grid, so again, you need to take a certain portion of consumer prices, certain portion, and to send this investment for the grid. And in smart grid, Uzbekistan have gone very far away, thanks to ADB and its famous project, and they have decreased their losses, technical losses, and they see the how much each region is consuming and in real time. And I think Kazakhstan is going to catch this gap. And energy storage is something new, which is very fast announced and developing in the region. And again, so I'm almost finishing. So it's quite. I think the power system should be very careful with energy storage, not having any facility running, not having this description of how battery storage is working, how fast are they depreciating. It is something very risky to announce gigawatt of storage. So I think we should go step by step, as Georgia in previous presentation showing. So small steps, think big, but start small. And this is the last slide. I think that in the region, in Central Asia, Kazakhstan kind of more develop legislation, more develop environment. And again, we did not invent anything. We took something from international experience. We work closely with Irina. I remember this conversation with the Georgian power system. They have introduced many years ago very advanced market, and we took many from there and from ADB as well. So we have current infrastructure in people, companies, IPPs who can who is ready to move forward. And definitely we need more investments, and there will be competition for investment, as I said earlier. So we will continue to strengthen policy, expand partnership, and I think we have to be very careful in balance this energy transition. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this comprehensive and very detailed presentation, and very interesting. And I'm sure that there are lots of topics and areas to continue the discussion. I'll invite Mr. Sadirov Albek Adilovich, who will speak on the Kyrgyz Republic Clean Energy Initiatives. Thank you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, it is great honor for the Kyrgyz Republic to take part in the Clean Energy Forum 2025, a platform uniting countries and organizations to build sustainable energy future. Kyrgyzstan has significant hydropower potential around 142.5 billion kilowatt hours per year, but only 10 to certain percent is currently used. Today, 90% of our electricity comes from renewable sources, mainly from hydropower. This proves our strong commitment and sustainability and clean energy. The Minister of Energy leads national energy policy and reforms. Our largest electricity producer, electric power plants, open joint stock company, generates about 85% of country's electricity, 12 to 14 billion kilowatt hours, and you operating 7 hydropower plants with a combined installed capacity of 3,225 megawatts. Here was technical details of our major HPP, Toktogul and Krupsai are the largest modernization projects will further boost capacity, especially at Toktogul and Uchkurgan HPPs. The Toktogul project aims to increase the capacity from 1,200 to 1,400 megawatts and improve reliability. It includes 3 phases from switchgear and transformer upgrades to the full replacement of hydropower units. Completion is expanded by 2006 with support from ADB and the Eurasian Fund. Uchkurgan's capacity will grow from 180 to 160 megawatts. The first upgraded unit already added 9 megawatts in 2024, and the second will be operational by 2025. ADB has provided the financial support for infrastructures and equipment prices. The second unit of Kambarata HPP2 is being commissioned. The project involves new generation United Switch GR and plant infrastructure. It improves the reliability and expands national capacity fund by the Eurasian Fund. Kyrgyzstan total hydropower potential is 142.5 million kilowatt hours. Only 10% is development, but have the capacity to build 38 new HPPs on the Narn River with over 9,000 megawatt and more than 26 billion kilowatt hours units generation. The next investment cycle includes projects totaling over 2,400 megawatts. These projects offer opportunities for public-private partners, several finance and climate mechanism, including green bonds. Kambaranta HPP1 is a flagship strategic project located in Jalabad region. It will have a capacity of 1,860 megawatts and generate around 6 billion kilowatt hours annually. With a 266 meter high dam and largest reservoir, it is vital for regional energy security. This slide shows the construction activities during the preparatory phase and their timeline. Feasibility studies with environmental and social assessment are underway. The World Bank is ready to provide $1.5 billion, and 8 major financial institutions have expert interest to finance the project. Kambarata HPP1 will include a gravity dam, spillways, water intakes, pipelines, and new power plants facilities. These elements are critical to safe, efficient, and sustainable operations. This project will ensure reliable winter electricity, reduce coal and gas use, and boost clean energy exports. It will create up to 1,000 jobs during construction and 1,000 permanent jobs. No resettlement is required, and project will accelerate the green transition in Central Asia. To conclude, Kyrgyzstan has strong hydropower projects, clear energy policy, and a favorable instrument climate. Kambaranta HPP1 will strengthen the regional energy security, water management, and cooperation. We invite all partners to join us in building a cleaner, more resilient energy future. Thank you for attention.
Much. It was an interesting presentation about the hydropower potential of Kyrgyz Republic and the initiatives going forward. I'll give the floor to Mr. Akmal Abdullayev to present Uzbekistan's pathway to sustainable energy. Thank you.
Good morning, distinguished guests, partners, and colleagues. I am deeply honored to have the opportunity to present Uzbekistan's vision and progress in renewable energy development and its integration into our national power system. As our country undertakes a comprehensive transformation of its energy sector, we are guided by the principles of sustainability, reliability, regional cooperation, and inclusive economic growth. Let me begin giving you a detailed look at our current electricity system. Uzbekistan's electricity system infrastructure is evolving rapidly as of 2025. Our total installed generation capacity is reached almost 24 gigawatt. This includes 18 thermal power plants, 77 hydro power plants, 11 solar PV plants, and 3 power plants and 3 block stations. Electricity sales are managed by joint stock company Uzenergy Soch. Transmission infrastructure is managed by joint stock company National Electric Grid of Uzbekistan, comprising 11,200 kilometers of high voltage lines and 91 substations, including 9 substations 500 kV, 73 substations at 220 kV, 5 substations at 110 kV, As per resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers, Republic of Uzbekistan, starting 1st June of this year, NIGU will also operate 1,840 substations and over 29,000 kilometers of certified 210 kV transmission lines. Distribution networks operation by region joint stock company, Region Electric Grid, Region Electric Network of Uzbekistan. 251,000 kilometers of low voltage lines, 97,000 transformer points. And next slides, you can see renewable potential of our country. Uzbekistan is blessed with significant renewable energy potential. Solar energy equivalent 51 billion tons of oil, wind energy up to 360 million tons, hydropower estimated annual potential of 27 billion kilowatt-hour. This abundance positions Uzbekistan as a future clean energy hub in Central Asia. In the next slide, you can see commissioned and upcoming renewable energy capacities of our country. As of the end of 2024, in our country, successfully commissioned renewable energy facilities with a combined installed capacity of 3.5 gigawatt. This includes 900 megawatt of wind power plants, 2.6 gigawatt of solar power plants, and 300 megawatt of energy storage system. This development marks a significant step forward in diversifying and greening our energy mix. Looking ahead to 2025, we plan to further accelerate the expansion of renewable energy by commissioning additional facilities with a total capacity of 3.5 gigawatt. This expansion will include 750 megawatt of wind power plants, 2.7 gigawatt of solar power plants, and a significant increase in energy storage capacity totaling 1.8 gigawatt. By the end of 2025, the total capacity of renewable energy source is expected to reach nearly 7 gigawatt. This includes 1.66 gigawatt of wind power plants and 5.3 gigawatt of solar power plants. By the 2030, Uzbekistan plans to increase its renewable energy capacity to 25.4 gigawatt, including 11.5 gigawatt of wind power plants, 9.4 gigawatt of solar power plants, and 4.5 gigawatt of electricity storage system. From the perspective of electricity generation, the share contributed by renewable energy source was 15% in 2023. Ambitious targets have been set to increase this share to 25% by the end of 2025, and further to 54% by the 2030, underscoring Uzbekistan's firm commitment to a sustainable and low-carbon energy future. In this slide, you can see investment in energy system. Owing the increasing strategic emphasis on renewable energy in Uzbekistan, the proportion of investment dedicated to renewable energy sources within the broader energy sector has experienced a remarkable and sustainable growth year after year. This trend reflects the government's commitment to transition towards a cleaner, more sustainable energy future. To illustrate, in 2021, only 5% of total energy sector investment were directed towards renewables. However, by the 2024, this share dramatically increased to 53%, demonstrating a significant acceleration in attracting capital to renewable projects. Looking ahead, it's projected that by the 2030, total investment in renewable energy will reach an impressive volume of 36 billion USD, highlighting the critical role that renewable will play in the country's energy landscape and economic development. This achievement in the renewable energy sector in Uzbekistan, driven by private sector investment, are receiving high recognition on the international stage. Notably, Mr. Masato Kanda, President of ADB, specifically highlighted our country's accomplishment during the annual meeting held in Milan in May this year. As well known, achieving the above mentioned targets and ensuring the effective integration of new power plants into the energy system necessitates the development of manpower, transmission lines, and substations. Let me now provide you information on our plans for the development of transmission networks and substations. By the 2030, we plan to implement 190 investment projects worth more than 4 billion USD, aimed at developing main power transmission lines and substations, as well as the integration of the power plants into the energy system. These projects are being financed through 9 projects with support from international financial institutions, 27 projects from own funds of our company, is NEGU, 45 public-private partnership projects from private investors, and for the 28 projects currently seeking financing. Within the framework of these projects, by the 2030, it's planned to construct more than 15 substations and approximately 7,400 kilometers of 220 to 500 kV transmission lines. Detailed information by the year you can see in this presentation by years. In this and the next slide, cooperation relations with neighboring countries of Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan is also part of the Central Asian Power System, CIPS, and interconnected with the neighboring countries. Uzbekistan employed as a specific seasonal connection agreement that imports energy from Turkmenistan and Tajikistan. Uzbekistan also supplies the Afghan Northeast system by exporting electricity. Uzbekistan and Afghanistan are currently constructing 500 kV Surkhan-Pulihumri lines. In the slide, in the map, you can see import and export direction from Uzbekistan and to Uzbekistan. In conclusion, Uzbekistan is firmly committed to building a sustainable, clean, and integrated energy future with clear government strategic, strong support from the private sector and international cooperation. We aim not only to advance our national economic, but also become one of the leading forces in the regional energy market. Investment in renewable energy and implementation of new projects will significantly contribute to Uzbekistan's sustainable development and strengthen environmental collaboration across Central Asia. Every day we are continue working to create a cleaner and more resilient energy environment for future generations. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Akmal. Thank you all the presenters. I think we heard a very interesting country-specific presentations in the context of the national goals with the clean energy transition and linking them to the regional cooperation. And I hear that all the countries that were presented here, and I see it through our region-wise, that the demand and the need of the national goals to deploy or diversify the energy mix is there. And we see that national priorities are now competing with the regional objectives as well, that the countries are in focusing on addressing the domestic realities while thinking globally and how to integrate into the region and open up for the power market. In this connection, I have a question to the presenters. What is the most technical or legal or policy barrier you see in achieving the national goals and at the same time facilitating the creation of the interconnected, decarbonized regional electricity market? And what role should regional institutions like ADB or the World Bank or AIB can play in this development? Thank you. Mr. Javid Abdullayev, yes, thanks.
As already mentioned my friend Jandos, the main problem is the balancing questions, technical problem. Legislative problems, I think all was covered by the different legislation acts in the different countries, but the balancing is still open issues, and therefore we are looking for the battery storage systems first of all, and then we need to clear understanding how we can balancing using the whole system. When we will have the interconnection between the different countries, we need to understand how we can use the whole system for the balancing. It's from the technical perspectives. From the economical perspectives, of course, many things will be depend on the speed of the implementation, the markets in this region. I mean, in Georgia, in Azerbaijan, and at the same time in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Of course, in different countries, the level of the implementation of the market rules is the difference, and it will make some kind of difficulties in future. And of course, there are another kind of discrepancies between the technical systems and the commercial systems. I think all of this is solvable problems, and we will work together with the international financial institutions. We need some assistance. We need some consultancy how it can work in future, and of course, if we will need more finance, we will looking for the international financial institution.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. I will try to say a few words and what is a key challenge in this field. Of course, and as I mentioned from my presentation, as if the strategical and policy documents are here, I think and the legal framework and the relevant decision is here, but again, and the implementation, it's very difficult point. Insights also in the region. When we are talking about and the market issues, of course, and the countries in region, and they have a very difference in the situation in the market. So that's why it is a very difficult point, because when we are talking about and the market, energy and trade, and so on and so on, it's a very important point for us. Second, it's very important is battery storage, and of course, and already we have a new projects, and the battery.
Wait a second. Maybe you should take.
Yeah, but now it's very difficult point, because mostly in the project it is on the runoff rivers and the hydro, because as I mentioned, and Georgia has a very huge potential of the renewable energy, including in solar and wind and so on. Hydro it's mostly, and the mostly generation from there, but again it's a variable energy. So that's why, and it's very important to harmonized. So that's why we need a new technology and the balancing of the, for example, in this direction. And finally, of course, then the international donors and banks and are here. It is very important support, but again, low electricity price there. So that's why I think, and it's very key challenge. That's why, and the low electricity price and lack of information about new directions, including in market, including in regional cooperation, and so on. So it is a key challenge in this field. So that's why I think, and the more international experience and more capacity buildings in the same field, it's a critically important, and for Georgia also, I think, and also in region. I will stop here. It is in brief and from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yes, please. Yes. No, I wanted to give the floor to you.
I agree with the previous speakers on that it's balance and some challenges and market challenges. I would say that the main barrier to accomplish all these programs for each of the countries will be the economic situation in these countries. The prices, all these projects, all these huge investments will double and triple the prices for electricity. and we will meet the obstacle that people will refuse to pay. The companies will start to refuse to pay. We have released the prices for electricity in Kazakhstan, and we see that industry is not ready. So they come into regulator and asking special incentives, special discounts, and they don't want to pay these high prices for electricity. That's obvious that more renewables, more best storage, more power lines and substations will definitely bring, and more backup, gas backup and new generation, a new hydropower station. This will affect the prices, and the economy has to change. And if, let's say, metallurgic plant in Kazakhstan is not ready to pay this high price, it's not ready for balanced market which had been introduced, and he refuses, and he's so special, he has 2,000 of working people whom he want to support. It means that it's a game changer. This will lead that economy will change. So some industry should be adopted to this, or should be closed, or should be renovated, or be ready to this. Maybe new industries like data centers will be like big consumers will appear on the market. I don't know, but this will be the game changer situation. And if the countries and governments will be able to adopt to this and to give special incentives, maybe tax incentives, maybe some funds to change the economy itself, this will be this ability will be the main barrier to reach all these targets that we have announced here.
Thank you very much. And in fact, you literally took the question out of my mouth and got the response. I was wondering, with the competing interests of the countries where you, like, when I hear from the presentations, each country is have very ambitious goal in terms of energy production, increasing generation capacity, modernizing the grid. But do you look into the regional perspective? Okay, if each of your country is increasing the generation, who will be end up consumer of the electricity on the regional market? Where this electricity go? And we see that interconnection is a very acute topic now, but there are so many legal, policy, technical aspects to expand the market beyond the region you are currently looking into. So how, I think it should be better coordination between the countries using the regional platforms like ADB Correct platform, and we can bring it more into our discussion in the energy sub-platform on the Correct, how we align national goals with the electricity generation capacity, diversity of the energy mix, and grid modernization, digitalization, and expansion of the regional market into the discussion. So I still have questions and a little bit of skepticism here that I think we need to be more proactively cooperating and talking with each other on bilateral basis and multilateral basis, and using these platforms for the open discussion, frank discussion. So I'll give the floor to the audience if they have questions, and I'm sure they all want to have lunch and questions are ready. Yes, please. The minister, can you come here? And would you like? Микрофон дайте только.
У меня вопрос к госпоже Марине. Первый вопрос это, я на вашем слайде увидел у вас, в вашей стране 75% генерации возобновляемых источников электроэнергии. Как вы балансируете между возобновляемыми источниками электроэнергии и другой генерацией? И второй вопрос – это средний тариф на возобновляемые источники электроэнергии. Какова?
So my question goes to Ms. Margarita Rabidze. So on your presentation, we saw that the share of the renewables in Georgia's energy system is 75%, the share of the renewables. So how do you balance the share of the renewables and the existing energy facilities? And the second question is, what is the tariff, the middle tariff for the renewable energy in Georgia?
Thank you so much for your questions, and of course I will try to introduce and answer from my side. First, and as I mentioned, and our generation it's mostly it's hydro, and installed capacity is more than in the 4,800. From them in 3,400 it is around 75% of the local generation. It is clean and green. I mean all types of the hydro. It isn't very important for us, but as you are aware, in the countries, including in Georgia, in the last 5 years, and the demand is increased. And reason is the commercial sector and building and so on, and consumption is so high. As regards your question about the renewable energy, also I introduced the targets for 2030. It's around 27% and around 27% renewable energy share in the energy balance. As regards an energy mix, and 75% is from the generation and clean energy. But as regards the energy mix, we have only 19% at renewable energy share. It is very small number. It's not huge. That's why I mean that when we are talking about energy balance, of course, I mean and crude oil, the biomass and so on. So from then and clean electricity, it's the only we think to achieve our targets as that in 2030 it will be more solar and wind. Of course, and as I mentioned, we are working hardly and to finalize and relevant infrastructure project, strengthening high voltage rise and strengthening then, for example, battery energy storage projects and so on. As regards to the second question, what is the price? As I mentioned today, and we have two types of support scheme mechanisms. First is contract for difference mechanism. Already we finalized 2 auctions, and key medium tariff is 6.4, 6.7, and the US dollar cents. As regards to power purchase agreement, it is a separate agreement with investors and with donors and so on. It is in the same price as well. So that's why in my personal opinion, and the low electricity price is all the key challenges I mentioned today. Because in reality, and sometimes investors and others and developers grumbling, and they need more, at least 7.55, for example, in US dollar cents and the price of the electricity. I mean, in solar, wind, and the hydro, and totally, an average in price is there, 6.4 and 6.7 in US dollar cents. Yeah, I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have one more question. 2 more questions. Can you give the mic? Okay, 3 more questions. Now I feel like an auction. Very nice.
Okay, my name is Habib Hassan. I'm from the Pakistan Resident Mission, Asian Development Bank. So thank you to the members on the interesting presentations. Regionally, when you guys made your presentations, the challenges seem the same, and I think solutions seem the same. Overall, my question is aimed at the policy, because a lot of the policies or actions that we saw to pursue a cleaner energy mix were long-term, somewhat 10
Keep the mic closer.
like 10 years or 15 years, right? But how dynamic does the policy need to be? Because regionally, I think, when looking at the energy security or the energy mix that we tend to pursue has caused a lot of issues with the tariffs. A lot of the countries have faced high tariffs because we're fixated with the policy. But you being on that level, reviewing the policy, do you think there should be a midterm review of the policies we pursue in terms of evolving the energy mix or looking at the energy security, and how soon should that be? Or should we just follow a static policy to address our energy concerns within the region as well as, countrywide?
The policy, yeah, I will take for Kazakhstan. So we have a policy, as I showed on the chart, we have this direction that we moving forward, and legislation was on the table, and I believe all these adding gigawatts are a result of that policy. But the world today is very dynamic. So I said our bright country leaders meet with each other each month. Each month there's a new project. Each month there's a new incentive. So now I think the government is kind of responding very fast. Legislation is changing like in months, which never happened in Kazakhstan. So in terms of giving comfort for a certain project, I think it's done very well. Is it good from the perspective that we need a kind of longer vision? As one Russian writer, Yesenin says in Russian, там, лицом к лицу, лица не увидать, большое на расстоянии видится. So you cannot see opposite faces sitting opposite. So you need a broader picture for that. So in terms of, let's say, targets, I see that probably, to my mind, again, personal point of view, we experience lack of vision. So what will be in 2035, 2040? Because even reaching these targets, I think every of Central Asian countries has the targets to be carbon neutral by a certain year, 26. I don't see roadmap. How are we going to reach this? Is it only the power? In Kazakhstan, it's only 30% of this. What will be the agriculture? What will be with the methane? What will be with the industry? What we will do with our mining industry in our Central Asia regions? I don't have answer on that. In this regard, this lacks me personally in Kazakhstan. But in terms of legislation, we are very fast. I think every country you can find faster countries in the region, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
The first place is Uzbekistan. They can fix it in a week. Ever.
I think indeed we're in a fast changing world, so we need to take fast decisions and quickly, otherwise the decision may become old one. So we take another question, and excuse me, we can take all other questions in writing, and we will communicate to you, and we can get the responses in writing as well. So we'll take one more question, and I'll give the floor for wrap up speech from our director. Thank you.
Anna Pivovarska, UNEC, Economic Commission for Europe. Actually, I have 3 questions, but I have to choose which one to ask. So to Uzbekistan, you have mentioned in your presentation that you use PPP modality for investments, 45 projects, up to $2 billion of investments in grids. Are they high voltage grids? And if yes, can you please name several private companies that participate in these projects? Thanks. I can ask in Russian if you would like.
Thank you for your question. 45 public-private partnership projects. These projects are to the integration of power plants, which are solar power plants and wind power plants, which foreign investors like Mazda, Aqua Power, like these projects, like these companies is constructing transmission substations lines, and according to the PPA, we get these objects, and we will pay them like a credit in 10 or 15 years.
Thank you so very much. So please, I want to highlight, feel free to ask all the questions in writing on our app, and we will be getting back to you. I'm sorry we are running short of time, and I had to take the questions in writing on the app. Thank you for understanding. And as we wrap up, I'd like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank our panelists for their open and thoughtful contributions. This conversation has shown us that while the energy transition is complex, it's also a space full of opportunity for innovation, partnership, and for shared progress. To formally close the session, I now invite Mr. Junho Wang, Director for East Central and West Asia team of the Energy Sector Office of ADB, to deliver the closing remarks. Thank you.
Dear Excellency, Energy Minister Ibrahim, distinguished speakers, participants, and ladies and gentlemen, colleagues. It is my pleasure to close this event and having two very actively participated panel discussion with all of you. It's difficult to close a session with so many interesting discussion going on, but it is also my job to close for now, and then we can continue our discussion next time. We had a very rare opportunity to have participants from the region and beyond, and also from the representative of different background of government, regulatory, business associations, and then the transmission operator. We had a very good opportunity to hear perspective of a different role, and also from the countries. As we discuss about the regional integration, I think this discussion today allow us to learn about the ground realities, the complexities that lie ahead, and then the challenges that we have to address as we move toward the common goal and shared vision of the connected region. We also talk a lot about the national priorities, visions, and then the progress of their transformative projects. We have discussed a lot about new emerging initiative of a green Caspian Green Energy Corridor. We have a tough job lying ahead as we start the feasibility study. It is very important that we do a rigorous assessment to address all the issues that have been raised today, starting from the technical challenges, preparing the financial modality to make a viable arrangement, and also to addressing the regulatory differences. We have to work together as we address these issues, and we assure that ADB will be work together with the AIIB to address these issues together. Closing, I think we will be delighted to have another discussion next year, meet together, and have an opportunity to update all of you about the progress that we made on this agenda. So with that, once again, we thank you for all your active participations, and look forward to working with all of you as we work together. Thank you.
Can you take the group picture? Yes. Can I have it?